Good evening. It's Tuesday, the 12th of January 2021. Diane Hands bringing you Book for the Day, Human Crossings, 9 stories about refugees. And I've been reading to you a story which was written by Clara Olde Heuvel entitled A Treasure. And Obabu is in a dinghy travelling towards Italy. He constantly heard some shouting and crying. He felt confident. He trusted the boatman. He took the dark blue water in and drifted off. Ah! A woman screamed sharply. This cry woke him up immediately. She must have had a nightmare, as it still seemed as if she were asleep. He tried to sleep some more, but couldn't. It was night, but still he could see some flashes of the waves. They were louder than during the day, and the wind had also gotten harder and colder. After a few hours, he saw the sky turning a light orange colour. It was sunrise. He also saw the shore coming closer, and many more boats, all waiting to land on the shore of the island. They just reached. He came to be aware this was Lampedusa, belonging to Italy. Everything was so loud on the coast side. All people arriving on the coast looked exhausted. They were taken to the shore by people wearing shirts from Frontex. Later, he got to know they were the European Border Agency. All people went through gates and their bags were checked. Some had a passport, mainly Syrians. Others didn't have one, or they just threw them away. He knew from the beginning that with a passport you had no chance at all in Europe, since you would be sent back to your home country. The Italian authorities tried to take fingerprints of all incoming people, but were obviously overwhelmed. Obabu remembered this procedure very well. After his fingerprints were taken, a photo was taken and he was brought by bus to an asylum seekers building. All asylum seekers who entered Italy by sea and wanted to claim asylum were sent to this house. Those people whose fingerprints were not immediately taken slipped through the gates to where human traffickers were waiting for them, taking advantage of them. After a week, Obabu was interviewed by an immigration employee. It was a very short interview. He got a paper on which he had to write down in his own language which countries he had travelled through, what he had paid for travel and to whom, whether he knew the names of the people who brought him to Libya, and after that by boat to Italy. He had to write down his means of travel and which cities he had passed through. This was then translated into Italian. After he had written this down, he had to wait in a big room filled with people who all wanted to claim asylum. He had to wait until his name was called. The immigration person said to him there was no time limit. He might have to wait a whole day or only 30 minutes. Obabu was medically tested by a doctor, otherwise he couldn't legally be interviewed. When he heard his name shouted out loud, he looked up and saw an immigration employee and translator coming towards him. And that is where we'll leave it for today. And tomorrow we'll find out what happens to Obabu during the interview. Human Crossings, 9 stories about refugees, can be found on Amazon, and it can also be found on Facebook. Until tomorrow, Diane Hans. Good night.